Bill Richardson Transport World, the great truck collection in the South Island of New Zealand, is somewhere that we visited previously. However, it's so good that we were enticed back to see what they've been up to. While the trucks are the main attraction here, there are a lot of cars about the place too, including a lineup of Ford letter cars from the early 1900s. These were part of a large collection of Fords purchased back in 2013. In fact, it was the acquisition of these cars that was the catalyst for opening the museum to the public just 2 years later. There's a lot of hard work involved from part-timers and volunteers to help keep the museum ticking. One of the oldest team members is an 82-year-old tractor enthusiast who keeps the standing engines going, and even takes one of the old Chamberlain tractors out to pulling events. There's a big job just to keep the tyres of all the trucks pumped up, which takes around 8 days to complete, a task handled by an enthusiastic volunteer. Transport World has become somewhere that people recognise as a great place for their collections to end up, with a cache of old jukeboxes now on display. Additions like the jukeboxes help to broaden the appeal of Transport World, which is why they have displays like the Vintage Vault, the Wearable Arts Collection and the Lego Room. Another recent acquisition is the collection of Cadbury memorabilia following the closure of the factory in Dunedin. Among the artefacts on display are 2 new trucks and a room full of Cadbury branded memorabilia and toys. As it stands, Bill Richardson Transport World is now near capacity, and it's a juggle to fit anything new in. That makes it a grand place to spend a few hours the next time you make the trek southward. After having a look around the museum and all of its trucks and treasures, we got the chance to poke around in the off-site storage shed, which is home to the Overflow collection. This place was chocker full of amazing artefacts and vehicles, but is not open to the public, unfortunately. This is the stuff that Bill Richardson had stored around Invercargill prior to his death in 2005. Everything was eventually collated into this one big warehouse, a task that took 4 men 16 weeks to achieve. There's around 40 years worth of restoration work stored here, a conservative estimate according to the workshop manager, who admits some of the projects will probably never get seen to. Motorcycle Mecca, also owned by Transport World, is where most of the action has been happening, and it now boasts more space to display the bikes and house the new George Begg collection. Among the names of famous New Zealand motor racing icons, George Begg perhaps isn't one that is top of mind, especially for those under the age of 40. But the farmer turned engineer turned race car designer is one of Southland's great heroes, and although no longer with us, his legacy is one that is being preserved thanks to the efforts of the team at Bill Richardson Transport World. Most of the big race cars actually still reside in the South Island, and after a bit of work, the museum managed to collate the majority of the surviving cars into one place. The display will be a revolving one, with cars coming and going as and when they are required for racing. Along with the various race cars, there are also several of George's farming inventions on display, as well as plenty of information on his life and achievements. The additional space added both upstairs and down at Motorcycle Mecca lets the collection breathe more freely. The bikes are more spread out, making it easier to digest their mechanical intricacies. There are now even more interactive information displays too, encouraging visitors to linger longer around the bikes. Also new is the Bert Munro space. While the real fastest Indians are just down the road at E. Hayes hardware store, there's a bit of Bert on display at Mecca now too, with some of his personal effects and trophies. There's also a photo opportunity in the Streamliner with the Oriti Beach as the backdrop. The Britain V1000 is one of the few bikes on display that is actually roped off, highlighting its immense importance and value. It's not the only New Zealand built bike, however, with the miniature Mighty Atom a particular curiosity. Even if you're not a mad keen biker, we reckon the collection of over 300 single trackers is well worth a visit.